Welcome back. Let's bring you the story now. Defence Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula and Police Minister Bheki Cele will address a multi-disciplinary integrated law enforcement parade in Cape Town today. This follows the deployment of the army in gang-ridden communities, and that's where we find ENCA's Stephen Goosen, who is awaiting the arrival of these two ministers. Stephen, good morning to you. Tell us where you are and when the anticipated arrival of these two ministers is going to be.
Yes, good morning. We are in Mapisa-Nqakula at the moment. I think you'll see behind me we have the Mapisa-Nqakula police station in shot. This then one of the areas that was identified by National Police Minister Bheki Cele as one of those 10 areas the worst affected by gang-related crime. Now, just over this weekend, we did receive reports that there was a murder in this area as well. The army was here during the weekend, but then again, that comes down to residents saying once the army is in the area, things quieten down. But as soon as the army leaves, shooting goes back to where it was again. So if you'll allow me, I'll just look at some statistics. 3 weekends ago, when we started with those 11 murders in Philippi, that weekend saw 55 murders in total in this area. The weekend after that, we saw 43 murders. And just this past weekend, according to reports we've received, 25 murders. So yes, it is coming down, but definitely still that the murders continuing in these areas, although the army is here.
Stefan, gangs seemingly undeterred. We're hearing reports that some of them are saying it's actually good that the army is there. That will ensure the protection of innocent civilians. But we as gangsters are going to be attacking each other day and night.
Definitely, I think the operations, once again, of these gangs, they are not going to stop or halt just because the army is here. We've heard many residents saying that although the army is here, the gangs simply go underground for a while. And then once the army leaves the area, they come out again and they operate as per usual. A lot of these communities are asking for the army to stay in their communities for a longer time, not just visit them in the late hours of the evening, but to have a permanent, presence in these areas, which will then hopefully scare away the gangs from operating at all for these next 3 months or how long ever the army plans on being here. But definitely communities asking for the army to have a more permanent presence in the area. Otherwise, these gang actions are just going to continue when they're not there.
Yeah, Stefan, well, the visit of these two ministers comes at a very awkward time, perhaps if one could say, because of that police officer who was killed in Delft over the weekend and two other officers injured, apparently on the same incident. Talk to us about how they're likely to respond to that, because that doesn't really inspire the kind of confidence that they would have thought.
You're 100% correct. Many residents, I was in Delft this past weekend, many residents there saying, just look at what happened. If police members can be shot in this way, how can these ministers ensure the safety of communities? I mean, these police officers themselves, they were lured, it seems, into a dark street, and then this assailant came out of the darkness and started opening fire on them. He only stopped once he himself was injured and his ammunition had run out. So definitely communities are expecting of these ministers to address this issue specifically, but not only this issue. Again, besides the police officer, 24 other members of the communities from Mapisa-Nqakula. We also had murders in Mitchell's Plain, in Khayelitsha, and Parkwood as well. These are the main areas the army was sent in to patrol in the first place. So definitely we're expecting these ministers to address this specific issue. But again, why should a lot of communities asking, why should the death of a police officer only bring them into action? They should have had jumped to action a long time ago, even before the army was deployed now recently. So definitely communities expecting these two ministers to address not only the police officer's murder, but also murders that seem to keep going on, even though the SANDF has been deployed to these areas.
Well, Stefan, just as we wrap up our conversation, news just coming into my ear is that the police minister's press conference will now no longer go ahead. Do you have any detail of that?
Well, we were said that they were going to visit 2 base camps, one in Philippi East, that's based at the Philippi Police Academy, and another one in Tafelsig. That press conference was supposed to go down after the visit to Tafelsig, but what we will do is we'll definitely follow up on that, and hopefully by the next time we speak, we'll have more definite details on whether it's still going to happen at another stage or not going to happen at all today. But we're still hoping to be able to speak to the Minister at some point today.
Stefan Goosen live for us in Manenberg, and that's in Cape Town.